It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Asta.
It's car con carne. Welcome to Friday night. Welcome to Friday night at home. Car con carne is sponsored by C&H Financial Services. C&H offers a variety of products ranging from traditional merchant accounts to a zero-cost payment processing solution, which eliminates expenses tied to accepting credit cards. C&H also offers cost-effective commercial lending programs, which can help you get your business the money it needs to make it through these unprecedented, weird, insane times. To learn more, contact C&H Financial Services at 855-600-2437 or go to chfs.us. Joining me, returning to the show, a wonderful dude, Brent Sopel, hockey player, star, and advocate for people struggling with dyslexia. Welcome back, Brent.
Well, thanks for having me.
So right out of the gate, the Brent Sopel Foundation is the organization you founded to help people, especially kids, struggling with dyslexia. I think a good place to start with you tonight is the very real situation is most kids are going to be learning from home for the next through the holidays, probably. I've got to think that for kids struggling with dyslexia, this opens up a whole can of worms. This makes things exponentially harder. Is that fair to say? Yeah,
no, 100%. It's not only kids with dyslexia, any kid with a learning disorder. It's hard enough for me to sit here on this screen. How do you get a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old to sit here, and stare at this, computer screen or an iPad, whatever they're on, for more than 15 minutes, and they're asking them to do it for an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. Yes, you're bang on.
So if you are a parent and you're listening or watching right now and you want advice, feedback, help, they should reach out to you in the organization, shouldn't they?
Yeah, 100% reach out to me. We'll try and help out. All I care about is self-esteem. So kids with learning disorders, that's what we struggle with, especially with dyslexia, because it's tough being a kid no matter what you are. It doesn't matter, you just want to be accepted, and we're different. We learn differently. So I tell a parent, if your kid is really struggling at home, close the book, close the computer. Who cares? That self-esteem is more important. Yes, there's going to be teachers that are going to be mad at me for saying that, but guess what? That self-esteem, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. It doesn't matter if you're a genius or you're amazing at baseball or whatever. But if you don't have self-esteem, you don't have anything. And when you're really struggling and you're spinning your wheels over and over and over again for time, 15, 20, 45, 2 hours, you're not going to get that self-esteem back. Close it up. That question's still going to be there tomorrow. That math problem, that reading assignment, whatever, that's still going to be there. But that self-esteem may not.
And self-esteem, it's a big issue, or it was a big issue for you dating back to school. I mean, your insecurity over having dyslexia manifested in you being a bully.
Yeah.
And taking it out on other people. You probably weren't even aware of where that was coming from or why you were so angry and why you were being so crappy to other people. But that was insecurity, wasn't it?
100%. That's why I can say what I just said about that self-esteem, because I've lived it. I live it every day. I didn't find out I was dyslexic till I was 32 years old. So I was reading.
Wait, now, what did you think was going on with you?
The 3 words that for dyslexics or kids with ADHD, a lot of them, and other things are 3 words: you're lazy, you're dumb, and stupid. I knew I wasn't lazy because I was on the ice working and, being successful on that side, working really hard there. And I knew I was working hard at that math problem or whatever. I just couldn't get it. But the words that stuck out to me, I was dumb and I was stupid. And I thought that. And, today, that still plays in my head every single day. And I know I'm not. But it still rings in my head because you told something for so long over and over again. And that's exactly where I talk about, where I was just talking about that self-esteem. And that's everything.
Yeah, you hear something often enough, you start to internalize and think, well, maybe there's something to that.
Correct. Yeah.
So there's a new 30-minute documentary all about you, your journey. It sounds cheesy to say, but your journey. It's called Here to Change the World. You said a quote or gave a quote in this documentary, which to me is a showstopper. If I didn't have hockey, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, full stop. I mean, that's it. That was your coping mechanism. That was your hard work. That was where you focused everything.
Yeah. I struggled at everything. One place, and so it wasn't a job, it wasn't a sport, it was a lifeline. That's where I got my self-esteem from. Everything that I talked about here so far is that self-esteem. Only place I got it from was there. So I spent every waking moment on the ice, all winter long, every outdoor rink, anytime, because that's where I got my self-esteem. That was the only time I felt good about who I was as a person. You talk about school, you go to school for 7 or 8 hours. Guess what? So my self-esteem, I hated every second of it because I struggled. So then I stepped back on the ice. So, I use it as a gas tank. My gas tank went down at school. Then hockey would bring it up. School would bring it down. Hockey would bring it up. So if I didn't, have hockey, it would have never been brought back up. So 100% by those words I say, 100%.
Was it weird to have a documentary made about you? Did you feel weird? Were you nervous to see the final cut?
No, when I cried the first time I watched it. But everybody's like, you're putting yourself out. I don't think I am, because it's not about me. It's about every kid that you talked about. It's about, is there any parents watching this saying, like my son or daughter has this, every kid struggling, the anxiety that I know these kids are thinking and fearing right now as we speak, thinking that, school's going to start here, maybe for some people in, Illinois next week. I know in certain states, Atlanta started this week. I know LA, I think, is next week. So the anxiety of those kids right now is, I know what that is. And this is why I'm okay telling my story. And my story is not about me. It's about every single one of those kids.
That's cool. That's very cool. You feel that way. And some of this is hard to watch. It's hard to watch you explain these struggles. But what I think is really helpful, besides your story, there's an actual visualization that happens in the documentary, what it looks like to see through a dyslexic brain and dyslexic eyes, and just how, for someone who can read, seeing that, it's like, oh my God, that's what dyslexia looks and feels like. And the light bulb went off with me, like, oh my gosh, no wonder this has been such a struggle. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and Cameron T.C. did, obviously the director put the documentary together, did an amazing job with that. And there's so much more that everybody just thinks dyslexia is just flipping your B's and D's.
Yeah, right.
And I would say, no. Yes, that's about a very, very small piece of it. There's reading comprehension. Then there's more severities from slightly dyslexic to severe. The most severe dyslexic will never read a day in their life.
Well, and you talk about, you can't fill out doctor's forms. Like if you're handed a clipboard, you're like, I'm out, can't do it.
Yeah.
Or even filling out a resume. Yeah. So post hockey, it's like, well, you couldn't exactly integrate into the Wall Street universe because that's just too scary.
And for me, I was entering the real world at 40 years old.
Yeah.
Which
is young.
Well, young in life, but not entering the real world, because I went right from school. I played hockey my whole life. So I wasn't living in the real world. I was living in the hockey bubble, which is completely different than what the real world is all about. And I wasn't having to do with corporate America. I wasn't having to worry about filling up those document forms because we had team doctors and everything would just get transferred over. And, so the fear of the clipboard, I didn't have to worry about that because that was all, on my file. They get traded from one team, the file would go to the next team, so that was my life. Take that life away. What I have, I had nothing.
And the world was just I'll say it was just too much for you. I mean, you pretty much bottomed out, drinking, drugs, to the point where you had an intervention. And
Yeah.
I mean, how bad was it, Brent?
Well, I'm lucky to be here today. I was months away from. I didn't think I was going to see 40 years old. And, so yeah, that intervention saved my life. And, if I can make it here to the 28th of this month, I'll be 4 years sober. And, that was a turning point of my life. I had to get sober and I had to feel those feelings of, struggling, of being laughed at, and finding a way to be okay with that. And how I describe that is just I had to go back in my past and clean out my closets and through all my struggles and be okay and realize God made me like this. And yes, I do struggle at certain things, but yeah, guess what? I'm amazing at others. And there's other things that people aren't amazing at, but then they get this. So I had to go back and in my 40s and look at my past and be okay with thinking about teachers and thinking about my parents and thinking about all those things, everybody letting me down. None of them let me down. I just had to be okay with it. And, I didn't know what the word dyslexia was then. Now I think less than 20% of the world knows what it is now. So I'm okay with my life today. And when I say this documentary and us talking about my struggles, it's not about me. It's to know that there's, that one parent listening or that one kid listening, that they're going to be okay. They can do this, and I always say, you're not alone. I'm right here with you.
That's so cool. And again, the documentary is Here to Change the World. It's on YouTube. I mean, if someone were to, finish this and want to watch it, it's right there. I mean, it's readily available to watch. Please
share it. And, again, it's not for me. It's, you don't know what parent's struggling with that. You don't know. Dyslexia is 1 in 5 and it's hereditary. So, 20% of the population, that's how big it is, how staggering the numbers are. So, please share it with anybody. You just don't know who's going to see it. And when I say you could save somebody's life, yes, those are big words. And I mark my words. You could save their life because, the self-esteem, 65% of us are addicted to drugs and alcohol.
The amazing thing is watching this documentary, there you are on the ice playing with a cast. Like, just, you took whatever was thrown at you in the game of hockey. And then, off the ice, knowing that you struggle like this, I think it just goes to show that the cliche or the saying is true. You never know what people are truly going through, like what they're fighting, what they're dealing with. Because to look at Brent Sopel on paper, here's a guy who was a kick-ass defenseman in hockey, won the Stanley Cup with the Hawks. Yeah, thumbs up all the way. No, he has not a care in the world, or he shouldn't, right? That's the perception. But the reality is very different. In a sense, you're talking about you playing with the cast. I think this shows a real toughness to be able to talk about this and share your story.
Well, you don't judge a book by a cover. You'd never walked a day in somebody's shoes. Somebody speeds by you and cuts you off. You don't know, has somebody passed away? Are they trying to get to the hospital?
Yeah.
They didn't wake up that morning. Oh, you know what? I woke up, I'm going to cut Brent Sopel off. No, there's something going on there, right? Same thing as they talk about a class clown or a bully. There's something there. And you talk about playing with casts. The outer pain of a cast or playing my surgeries was nowhere near what my inner pain was.
That's unbelievable. It's hard to even imagine. And you caught dyslexia in your daughter at a very young age. I mean, you were 32. I mean, thank goodness. I mean, your awareness is super heightened now that you were able to address things much sooner for her and make a better situation for her as she grows up.
Yeah, early diagnosis for dyslexia is key. I wouldn't have the problems and the the scars I have if I knew at a younger age.
Yeah.
She just graduated high school. She's supposed to be going to college. Well, with COVID and all that, but she's going to be a freshman in college. So, we caught it when she was in grade 2, and she had her struggles and she had to go through things, but she graduated high school She got into college, and she's excited. And that early diagnosis is the key. Again, finding out when she was 7 or finding out at 32, obviously a big difference. But that's why I talk about it. That's why, I'm so passionate about dyslexia, is the earlier you find out, the better it is. And last stat I heard was 40 million adults in the U.S. have it, and 2 million know it.
That's unbelievable. And again, the documentary is Here to Change the World. One final documentary-related question. How do you get Eddie Vedder to do the final song? Or how do you get to use that song in the documentary?
Well, he hasn't come after me yet. Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to him. I know I have friends that are friends, and so maybe
should I not have asked that question?
If he comes after me, he comes after me. I got a lot of friends that are friends with him, so it was just a perfect. Again, Cam Casey did the documentary. It was just a perfect song that collaborated with that. So he may come after me. If he comes after me, I'm coming after you.
I don't want you coming after me. I've seen what you can do. I don't want to mess with you, Brent Sopel. Let's talk a little bit about the Brent Sopel Foundation. Tell me about the work you've done. Right before we went live with this interview, you talked about just how busy you are and how life is just nonstop for you. Tell me, I'm assuming the foundation accounts for a lot of that activity.
Yeah, obviously the foundation is my purpose, and I never want to be known as Brent Sopel, the hockey player. I want to be known in my legacy to be the foundation, and that I brought awareness to dyslexia, and I can help one kid at a time, and however that is, through the foundation, through the awareness, through the documentary, trying to get teachers educated in what dyslexia is, getting parents educated, so I hope that one day my foundation is big enough where I can do this full time, because I always compare it to autism, because everybody knows what autism is. Autism is 1 in 65, and it's not hereditary. Dyslexia is 1 in 5, and it is hereditary. So I passed it on to my daughter. Chances of her passing it on to her kids, it's going to keep going, and we're born this way. There's nothing we can do. So yes, it's my purpose. It's my passion. It's my life. So when I say people reach out to me, I will get back to you. Absolutely. May take a little bit of time, and I love being busy, helping people. Anytime I can help somebody anywhere around the world, means more to me than ever stepping a day on the ice playing the NHL.
And I don't want to dismiss the work you did in the NHL, because it was awesome. And
we love
watching it.
God put me on a path to have a platform to be able to do the documentary, for you and I to have that conversation. So hockey was amazing with me. So I'm not, not denying, just tossing that to the side. But, for me, the purpose in life is every kid I can save, every parent I can help, every individual that I can save, I help change their life. Again, that's more important than a sport.
Totally get it. I mean, I don't have a charity foundation or anything, but I realize, I feel like I've said all I need to say in my industry. I can still do stuff. I still like my industry, but I'm at a certain point in a certain age where I'm like, I want to start doing good. Like you kind of, you climb one hill, you're like, well, what's next? Well, I need to start doing right by humanity. And that's kind of where my head's at. And I can relate to what you're saying, just because I think that's what people should do when they hit a certain point. Like, how can I help?
Well,
what can I do?
The Bible, and if you're Catholic, not whatever religion, you treat people the way you want to be treated. The world wouldn't be the world where the world is if we did that. And like I said, I talk about kids struggling. I just don't want a kid to feel the way I do. So why can't we be nicer to people? Why can't you say good morning and say good morning back, and just care about other people? And it's a crazy time in this world, and I think COVID was and should have been a great thing. And I'll paraphrase that, for self-improvement and family. Spending more time with your family, spending more time on yourself, self-evaluating yourself, making sure you're a better person. I think parents now realize their kids with learning disorders, how much they really do struggle, because they knew they struggled. Then they send them to school and then come home and do the homework. But they really didn't see them really full on struggle like they did now. So I guess now they can advocate for the kids better. So, bless the hearts of everybody that passed away, and then all the healthcare workers and everything. But, family wise, person wise, your kid wise, it should have been a good thing to stay at home and learn more about those, those people in your life and yourself.
And I don't want to minimize how challenging this is emotionally for everybody. I mean, this is such a weird time. I think a period of emotional mourning is appropriate with the quarantine and COVID-19. I think it's okay to kind of mourn the loss of what was normal 6 months ago. I think it's normal to want to just kind of detach for a while. I think all those are valid, but you're right. I think also at the core of it, here's an opportunity to just push the reset button.
Yeah.
And especially, like you said, the value for parents of kids who have those disabilities and struggles to be able to see it and really understand it from the perspective of, during a day of learning, how informative and helpful can that be moving forward? And the answer is a lot.
And when I say that is, if you don't have dyslexia, for example, use that because you really don't understand what our whole life means. So if the mom doesn't have it, the dad, you just fully don't understand what our life is. So I guess it brought you a little bit closer, into our life. You'll never fully understand, but maybe it's a step closer to understanding.
That's it. And the Brent Sopel Foundation, people can find you easily on the web. And what a great resource. And what an easy, approachable resource you are, Brent, for parents and kids. Just it's nice to know that there's an ally out there, someone who gets it, and someone who can speak to all of this.
You're not alone. And, right now I'm redoing my website. So, hopefully that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. So trying to get my new website up with more and more material, more information for parents. But I live it every day. That's why I can say you're not alone. And I'm here with you. And your kid, your son, your daughter, whoever that is, your grandson, your granddaughter, whatever that is, whoever that is, they're not alone. I'm right there in that battle with you, and advocate whatever that is, help out any way I can.
I feel like I want to give you a hug now.
The virtual hug.
Yes. All right, I'm going to stop the Facebook Live. Thank you, everybody, for watching there. Much appreciated. That's Brent Sopel right there.